Good morning, everybody. We're going to go over a little bit more in regards to how to create a better tutorial. How to create a better thumbnail. And hopefully my daughter doesn't wake up. I really need to do these streams a little bit earlier. Last time we went over thumbnails and sketching out thumbnails, checking up your competitors, things like that. We also talked about the psychology of color and how that's important. So now we get into the meat and potatoes of actually creating a thumbnail digitally. Now, worst case scenario, you can create your thumbnail by drawing it, which I may have to try that actually. As long as you follow the specifications for the thumbnail, it should fit once it's scanned in and cleaned up. It should fit very nicely into the size that you need. Oh, I got something in my eye. Now, there are 3 principles for all thumbnails that I would suggest following. Gotta look at my notes. The 3 principles are: you want to accurately portray what's actually in your video. You don't want it completely clickbaity where you're portraying something that's not there. You also, obviously you want to get the audience excited about it, but there are different ways of doing that that don't require clickbaity craziness. You also want to draw the audience's attention in a way that is positive. However, you want to make sure that at least the thumbnail at least represents the first 15 to 30 seconds of what's in the video, because if you put something in there like some kind of surprise that's at the end of the video to try to get somebody to watch the entire video through, you're going to bore people to death. Really. They're there to see what is in that thumbnail. If you have a video of somebody going down a handmade water slide and they're flying through the air and you're like, see what's next. And then your entire video is about building the water slide. People are not going to want to sit through the entire building of the water slide because they're there to see. They're there to see the actual water slide and the person flying through the air. They don't want to wait till the end of the video. A couple other points is, this is one of the reasons why a lot of the Insight people like Nick Nimmin and Think Media and other such folks who have done a lot of research with thumbnails, they suggest using a human face. There are 2 psychological components to that. One, we are just hardwired for faces. I mean, we see faces in pieces of toast, for goodness sake. Toast. Oh, look. It's a face. You know, that kind of thing. But it's just because it's hardwired into our brain. So, in that regards, you want... I'm trying to... Sinuses, sorry. In that regards, you want to have yourself, especially if it's a vlog, or a character, at the least, if you're trying to hide your identity, that it has a face that somebody can recognize, like a mascot character of some kind, that represents your brand, yourself, your channel. The other part, too, is you want that face to be facing out like someone's trying to make eye contact, because we're drawn to eyes. Again, it's a psychological thing. I'm paying attention to my stream on my phone because I don't want it to have problems with my stream. So it's a little bit distracting. So we're going to... So there are a couple other tips and points that I want to highlight that we're going to be using here and there. You want to show some kind of strong emotion, especially if you have a character or your face. But it shouldn't be, again, it shouldn't be something that's clickbaity. If something really is scary that's in your video, obviously you want something, you know, a scared face. If there's something happy in your video, make it a happy face. Be aware, don't mix the emotions between the content of the video and what's actually in the thumbnail, because you're going to get people irritated at you. Whether it's dislikes or likes, it's not about getting the views, it's getting the watch time. You want people to actually watch your video, and the thumbnail is the gateway to that. If I'm going to go into a store and I'm going to buy a box of cereal, I don't expect there to be hot dogs in my box of cereal. See what I'm saying? You know, a couple of the things that you want to take into consideration too is that we are visually attracted to brighter colors. They're more exciting, they draw our eye, especially colors like red. However, they can be overwhelming. And if you have a channel that has nothing but red in it all over the place, it's actually going to be a little detrimental, because that's overwhelming. So there's some channels, like if you look at Brian G. Johnson, he has a lot of red in his channel, but it's not, the whole thumbnail is not red. He has a big strip of red that draws your eye to the text on his thumbnail. And that works, because the rest of it is either dark colored or it has that slight highlight of yellow. The other thing you have to take into consideration is your brand and your branding colors. If your brand or branding colors are not bright colors, you don't want to ruin the brand, if that makes any sense. For me, my branding colors are in the dark blue regions. This makes it a little difficult to stand out because it's a calming color and people are not going to be directly attracted to it. So rather than have the entire thumbnail blue, I have what's called a bug or a branding pip that I try to put, and I've gone over and over again trying to clean this up and get it better, and it's always an experiment. Your thumbnail isn't going to be perfect the first time around. This is why A/B testing is important. But I have a bug and branding bit on my thumbnails, and I try to have a little highlight because I have a multiple like a variety of art channel, and I try to put up in the left upper hand corner, in that corner, like a little graphic that kind of gives a taste of what it's going to be about. So like crafting videos will have a pair of scissors, while any kind of art or drawing videos will have a pencil, and any kind of advice or talking videos will have a little bubble. So like a talk bubble, like a cartoon talk bubble. And this way people know what to expect from that. My live streams, I'm iffy on whether or not to actually put that up in the corner. And I've actually changed how the live stream thumbnail looks in general. And I think I'm getting to a point where I like it. But it's still very blue, and it still doesn't pop out at people right away. I'm not entirely against that, because most of the live streams are rough video. They mostly deal with interaction, and they primarily deal with the live aspect of it. So they don't often get a lot of views in general for repeats, because people don't want to sit there and listen to me talking like right now. Whereas other people, when they come onto the live stream, they're coming on for the interaction of it. So the thumbnail for the live streams, in my opinion, don't need to be that pop out. Not really. They need to offer the information up front. And then since I'm not insisting on people watching them, I don't really want them to jump out. If that makes any sense. of my other videos because I don't want to put my face on the other videos. I really don't. Like, I just don't. I just don't. Just personal preference. And this has to do more with protecting my identity than anything else. But if you're protecting your identity, why are you doing live streams? I can't answer that one. So what it comes down to is that primarily most of my videos, I don't want it to focus on me. I want it to focus on the artwork or the crafting. My vlogs, yeah, okay, I'll put my face in there because that is me. But when it comes to doing my artwork, it's the artwork that's more important. So because of that hierarchy, that goes into the thumbnail. Now I have to make sure that it's a clean shot, either of the video that had been made or a really good photograph or scan of the artwork, like the finished artwork, or if you want to show that it's a process piece, you can show it in process. Then we come down to other elements, and this is especially true, excuse me, this is especially true for like cartoon animation channels, or even some of the vlog channels or whatnot. If you have very limited elements in your background, you have your title, your text, and it's something exciting, the video has something exciting in it, you definitely want to use bright background colors. Analogous colors are really good. If you have a character that's mostly like a blue color, you'll want an orange in like color in the background. Doing like a starburst background is really good too. The other thing you want to take care of is whatever you do for that particular thumbnail, you're going to want to try to repeat for others. And this comes into the whole branding thing. If your thumbnails are different, if your thumbnails are completely different across the board, nobody's going to recognize that it's your video. Even if you have a small pip in the corner, if the thumbnails are way too different from each other, then they're not going to recognize it as your video, even with the small logo pip in the corner. The other thing too is you want to avoid bits inside the lower right hand corner, because that's where the time code pops up on all thumbnails. That's where their time code pops up, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And when you're designing it, you want to design it for the small screen. Which means you need to also make it easy to understand. When somebody looks at something, they want to be able to understand what's going on in that particular video. One of my better... One of the videos that gets a lot of watch time and gets a lot of views in general right now is my gel pen. It's my gel pen. Hold on. Let's go to my videos. Come on, I don't care. Leave. Oh my god, I've been streaming with the wrong stream thing on, whatever. I just updated it. Go figure. So, this one. And this was an experimental piece, but as you can see, what is here is I have the text, but the text overall is not as big. I don't want it overtaking the actual what's going on the side of it. And you have gel pens here, and you have me painting on the gel pen with a watercolor brush. And that right there explains the entire video in its entirety. It's me using gel pens and then instantly adding water to them as quickly as possible and seeing whether or not they actually can be used as watercolors. I ran across this in an experiment where one of my gel pens, especially the Pilot G2. They seem to be really good at this. I drew on a card, an ATC I was working on, and what happened was it ran. Like, it turned into watercolors, and it started running into my other watercolor, and I was really confused. Like, really, really confused. So then I started wondering whether or not other gel pens did this too, because I've noticed that when I've used gel pens on other coloring books, they would smear sometimes, so I'd have to be very careful while coloring them. And sometimes it would take a while for them to dry. And if I closed the coloring book, often the pages would stick together. This is not all gel pens, obviously. There's different brands, different recipes. So that prompted me to do this video, and it prompted me to then make this thumbnail, because that's what the video was about. Now, on to the meat and potatoes. You can go to support.google.com/YouTube/answer, and the article is /72431. And that will take you to where they talk about the videos. Now, they have the channel art, where you can download an image of how to make a good channel art. That's the template that they have. They're supposedly having a template for thumbnails, but I haven't found it personally. I had to go onto Google and download somebody else's template that they made, and then I made my template based on that. However, there are specifications that we need. Image size and resolution. This is exactly what you want. So, let me make that a little bit bigger. So here, it has to have a resolution of 1280 by 720 with a minimum width of 640 pixels. This because the thumbnails get larger and smaller across the site depending on whether it's on TV, desktop, or mobile device. My TV can log into YouTube, for example, through my internet, because it's one of those smart TVs. And there's my daughter waking up. Go figure. It needs to be uploaded in such formats as a .jpg, a .gif, a BMP, or a PNG. I do all my thumbnails in PNG. It's just a habit. And it has to remain under the 2 MB limit. You can easily do this, even at 1280 by 720, by having the DPI dots per inch be 72. Just make it 72. You're already making it really large, so it's not going to affect it that much. So why make it bigger? And it says here, try to use a 16:9 ratio. That's video ratio. So what you can do for the templates is, in a pinch, you can go to the template for the header. That is a 16:9 ratio. And you can use that to start off with as something. So, I'm going to start here. We want 1280 by 720, right? So we go in here. In the background, you can see a thumbnail that I already started, but with 1280 by 720. The orientation, you want it to be horizontal, not vertical. This isn't a vertical phone thing. And you get, oh, I hate the artboards. And you get the perfect size to start it. Now, we're going to go back to here, because over here, this was a template that I downloaded from online. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own template based on this. First, we're going to do the borders. because having general borders around your video is good. It gives it breathing room. In other words, you don't want to jam images or text way up against and having them falling off the thumbnail unless you're doing that specifically on purpose. Like you're having a scream and a scream goes off the thumbnail. It would look a little weird. Really, it would look weird. But art is about knowing the rules and then deciding where to bend them. Now, I'm not sure about some of the other programs out there. I'll have to look it up. But Photoshop has these things called guidelines, and you want to have them turned on. And you can have them set to pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, or percents. But you want to go up to View, and you want to make sure your rulers selection is checked. And having the snap or snap to on is very helpful. It can get irritating, so sometimes you're going to need to turn it off. And what I'm doing here is I'm blocking out where the timer's going to be, right? Then I'm going to take a shape. Make it gray for the sake of making it gray. And that's about where the play button's going to go. That's your play button right there. And if it's in a playlist, which is what's suggested, the playlist number is going to go up here. So you don't want anything super important right in there. So what I'm doing here is I'm demarking out with a dark color is areas I don't want. Watch this. This is going to be fun. I'm going to use dark color here. And then I'm going to switch to white. Yes, naughty. I'm going to switch to white and that didn't work. Yes, I wanna. It's not working again. There we go. And then I can get rid of the original overlay. And take all this. Bird shapes. And then rename the layers. We have overlay of elements. Video thumbnail main. And border. You realize that I'm live streaming, honey, right? Right. I need to do these earlier in the morning before she wakes up. I really do. Oops. Oh. Before I forget, pop out chat. Yes, I'm just testing to make sure my chat is actually working. Hey, it's working good. Awesome. Alright, so this gives you your base template that you can work with. From there you have to decide, you know, with your branding, your coloring, and everything else, what you're going to do with it. My personal, and this is my personal preference, I want to leave as much of the open space here. I want to leave that as open as possible, so I don't want to clutter it up. This is where we go back to the thumbnails we were looking at earlier. The thumbnails of thumbnails. The thumbnails we were looking at earlier, and decide how we want to do with this. And one of the first things for our overall template we need to decide is where the branding is going to go. Video creators, for example, we'll use a group called branding. I will hold shift, this is in Photoshop, and click and drag a square. And then what this does, I can then take this square, we're going to color it something else. And what I can do here is I can rasterize the layer, use my one selection tool, find the corner, go to the corner, and I have a triangle. And what I can do is I can put my logo or other information here. That's how video creators did theirs, and theirs is just a simple camera. So
Mom,
yes, honey.
trying to open the door.
I misclicked. Oops. And you have a logo.
Where's my glasses?
Did you find them? Good girl.
I found yours.
Good girl. Mine are over here.
But I found your other ones. Oh, Mom, Tigger's trying to get out. And Tigger was petting this. Tigger was petting this.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for telling me.
It's not Tigger. It's not.
Oh, that's a huge picture. I could do this an easy way by going up and just resizing it through the menu, but I always do it the hard way because I want to see what I'm getting into. And then we can add, using the layout of the image, I want the text in this upper right hand section, but the image is the wrong way around, so image, no, we want to do edit transform, and flip horizontal.
I'm playing with Tigger.
Now, the trick with fonts is they have to be big enough to be read, but they need to be in a format that is easily read. And I'm using, here in this case, a Google font that you can find. It's open source. You can use it, called Open Sans. So, books. We'll say
Mom, watch
love
me.
or hate.
Mom, watch me do
Or
something.
Nani. Nani, I am live streaming, please. Yes. Stop. You can play with Tigger if you want. Just shh. Please. So in this case, you could do a... Oh, hey, Easy2. I just saw you. Let me get to this, and I'll get to your questions right away. So in this case, let's say it's about books, digital versus real. So let's say digital or physical. Right. Why I love books. Right. Now you can already see that there's a bit of an issue here. It's really hard to read that font against that photograph because you have a variation between light and dark happening at the same time. Hey, purple or blue? Okay, be careful driving home. Alright, Easy2. What kind of program is this, and is it a free download? The program that I'm currently using is called Photoshop. There are free art programs out there you can download, and there are other mobile apps that you can use that will help you to create thumbnails. But this is Photoshop, and you can get a 30-day trial of Photoshop. I have the entire Creative Cloud. It cost me about $50 a month. I'm waiting for the next sale to roll around so I can re-up on and get it for a lot less than that. But because I use like 4 or 5 of the programs all at the same time, it made more sense for me to get Creative Cloud because I use the editing software, which is Premiere, and After Effects. I use Photoshop, I use Illustrator, I use things for work, and if I can't get into my work machine from home for whatever reason and I need to do something, then I have it on my home machine and I can do the work there as needed. If needed. As long as it's not sensitive. I'm assuming you did this on your computer. Yes, I'm doing this on my computer. I'm kind of lost branding with what your icon picture making on your computer. Okay, the branding lower corner is just a placeholder for whatever you want to put down there. Like for you, since a lot of your tips and tricks tend to be kind of like home construction based, kind of. Some of them are artsy, like with your wife. Depending on what your brand is to be, you could have like a set of tools down in the corner or whatever, but that's something that you have to decide for yourself. What I put down in the corner was based off the branding pip from video creators. Let me pull that up real quick. Hold on. Oh, I hate when I gotta go with this. It's so irritating. Okay, video creators. I love this guy. He's awesome. Right? But if you look in the corner right here, you see it's just a slice of color, and his branding tends to be red and white. That's his branding colors. He has a slice of color right here, right? And then because his branding is in relation to helping other YouTubers and other video creators improve what they do. And that's my cat. So his icon, his branding is that little video camera. And here you can see, like, I think this is newer. Recent, yeah. This here is his other branding that he had, where he had the words going up the side. That has problems in and of itself. It's not a bad idea per se, but then you have this problem where the eye is going in the wrong kind of direction, especially in the United States and other English-speaking countries. People tend to look from the top right corner. I'm backwards. The top right corner. I'm sorry, the top left corner. Oh my god, my camera's completely backwards. Alright, so the top, we'll start at the top left corner and we read left to right. And then it's messing me up because I'm pointing and I have to flip my camera around. Good to know. And then top to bottom, that's how we read. So the way video creators has his, in these older, I guess they're older thumbnails. Yeah, they're from 1 year ago, 7 months ago, 11 months ago, 2 years ago. What happens is that he's running into this problem where it's reading bottom to top. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness, I almost sneezed. But what's going on is that you have to basically turn your attention, or your head in some cases, sideways, and then it's reading left to right, top to bottom. But it's not comfortable. And then when you do this, and then you have, say, like here, text going across, you're changing your attention, and you're kind of doing this arc, which for this thumbnail isn't so bad. But the video creator's branding, like, takes up a lot of attention space here. And what happens here is that you see this, you read this, and then you get pulled back in and around again. And that overall design kind of works, because your attention kind of goes around in a circle and back again to the beginning, and you keep going around and around. This is another version where he's taking his branding here, and then what's happening is he's putting his... I have no idea what my daughter's doing in the tub right now. And then you have the text here and then his image here. And this is like 1/3 and this is about 2/3. And that works. So... Word. Alright, that works well for you. You're not in your situation. Yeah, there are other programs out there like GIMP, G-I-M-P. That's a good one, and it's totally free. And there are phone apps that you can use to do thumbnails as well, real simple ones. There's also websites you can go to and for free and do thumbnails as well. And they follow the same sort of template. Thanks for sharing. I gotta put the toothpicks away. Time for me to go to sleep. Yeah, you need to stop staying up all night. Easy too. Have a good sleep. Good night. Alright. I hope that the rewatch is happy for you, because I know most live streams don't do so well on the replay in general. So we had the problem here, going to the text again. The problem we have here is that the background varies too much. And you go view and zoom out, control minus, control plus, so control minus. That's about what, yeah, that's about what we're looking at for a thumbnail. Like, the book, the image, the photograph is really good. Oh, by the way, I got that image from Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. That image works okay, but you can see that the text is completely unreadable. And this is a problem. So you can either make it bigger, bolder, or you can do like what I did. You can put some kind of background color behind it to make it pop.
Mom, I'm using shark makeup.
Good job.
Do I look like a shark?
Kinda.
Let me go to the mirror.
So what we want to do here is make it this bigger. Enough. We don't want to go too much bigger because then we'll run into the playlist problem over here. Make it older. It's still hard to read. So what we can do is to make this pop is we go to the layer underneath the text. So we'll make it a gray. So it's a little different from the background, but not so much. And then what we can do is we can actually drop the opacity. Just a little bit. And the text still pops. Now if you want to really draw people in, depending again on your branding color, let's say with that color. So see, the color changes, right? Oh. And then you have your branding color in there. And if you wanted to, you could actually change the font to be darker so it matches with your logo. Again, you can see it's still a little bit hard to read, so what you can do is play with sizes. If you don't want this too much bigger, we can pop it up a little bit. So make it like 110. It gets cut off a little bit, but you can drop this to 90. And you add a little bit of a dynamic bump to it. And then we make the overlay go away, and you have rectangle's wrong size. And what this is using is the upper third versus the being in the center. Or if you wanted to play the center game. If you did this though, you're blocking the entire image. It looks a little bit more interesting, but it's still blocking the entire image.
Do I look like a shark?
Or if you want to avoid the top of the playlist problem where it blocks the title, you can pull it down here, but then it gets blocked by the numbers.
Mom.
You look gorgeous, honey.
Thank you. Can I show it to her?
No.
Please.
You're already on camera. The camera's right there.
Where?
Right there.
Okay. Here's your glasses.
No, they're not my glasses. You know better. Now what we can do...
Mom, can you give me back my glasses, please?
Do you mind? Seriously. You're being an interruptus.
I'm not.
Yes.
No.
What Tim Schmoyer is doing here is he's using elements in the background and outlining the characters in it to make things pop a little bit more.
Duck.
Look at the top. Oh, hard. There you go.
Look, Mom. Look up.
I'm going to have to finish this video at some point because my daughter is just not behaving at this point. Alright, good night, Easy2. Take care. Parenting. I love my kids. I may have to start doing these Mixed Bags Creative Live streams earlier in the morning because there's just no way this is going to work. I love my daughter very much, but being that she's 6 years old, there are certain concepts she just doesn't understand. So, she stays out there. Now, one of the things that Tim Schmoyer has been doing with this is he's been following what I've seen in a lot of other ones where things pop quite a bit. So instead of just using a photograph, what he's doing is he's cutting himself out. So I'm going to try to find... Okay, Nani. Thank you. Yes. That's a very nice note. No, because your brother's not awake. Seriously, your brother's not awake. Okay, so I'm putting a texture in the background. I'm going to open my mascot character. I'm going to cut out my mascot character. If you're really good with photo editing, you can take a photograph of yourself and cut the background out. And you can have you in there instead of this, but I use the character because it's already a clean background PNG, and it's high res, high quality already. Oh, I forgot to do something. See, one of the things you can do in Photoshop, I'm not sure about the other programs, but in Photoshop, is converting it to a smart object. So if you shrink it or grow it, the quality of it doesn't change. One of the problems with shrinking and growing an image, once you shrink it down, you have a hard time with it. So the character is looking down in this direction, down to here. So this is where I want whatever it is that I want to put in there. And say, file, open. Let's see. And it comes through the paper. Oh my goodness. Be like, oh, be crazy. Oh my goodness. Right. And then file, open. Go to my projects. Gonna go to my elements. Gonna go into my icons. We're gonna go into the pings. Open. Copy. Paste. Okay, so now the thumbnail, without any words, is specifically saying, hey, it's specifically saying, hey, this is about drawing a strange, see the emotion on the face of the character, strange, kind of weird, curious, sort of, what the heck, right? And it's a drawing of this character. And that is the power of using images that make sense for your thumbnails. You only get the stars that you earn. So go put the stars that you earned. Okay?
I don't know.
Apparently, I need to go. I will try to do more on thumbnails later.
Bye.
And
don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
tell them to ring the bell, the notification bell.
No. I will tell them to hit subscribe.
Okay, tell them to hit the subscribe button. Look at the light. Look at the light and say it. Look at the light.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave your comments in the video.
Thank you. Tell them thank you. Tell them thank you.
Thank you. But I gotta go. It's my
Say bye.
Bye. Bye.